Hi, I'm Venus O'Hara and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to talk about how to feel better if you're struggling. This is not the type of video I normally make. I was inspired to make this video because the other day I was chatting to a friend who was telling me about their struggles during 2023, and I gave them lots and lots of tips, things that have worked for me when I've been feeling quite down. And he said to me, "Do you make content like this?" And I thought, maybe I should. In my personal life, I'm quite a cheerleader and confidant and agony aunt. And maybe I was thinking, if you like this content, I could probably make more videos like this if you think they're useful. Anyway, let's get into it. So this time of year is very hard for a lot of people. I mean, it used to be very hard for me. And it still has its challenges. But I think it's important to, just focus on gratitude. Well, that's easier said than done. But now I'm going to share with you some tips about how to feel better in general if you're going through a hard time. And these are things that have really worked for me during my struggles. So first thing I'd really recommend is meditation. I think meditation for me has been a life-changing practice. It's something like, I would describe it as creating this inner refuge that I can access at any time that I'm bored. Let's say if I'm, traveling and I want to reach my destination, I don't know how to use my time, I can just close my eyes and get into this place. Or also before sleep, when I wake up as well, which are very good times to meditate. But it's been most useful during my very difficult, darkest times. I remember I probably shared with you that in 2020 I had Bell's palsy, which was facial paralysis. I was paralyzed for a month, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever been through. And I meditated 4 to 5 times a day. Also, nearly 3 years ago now, I was in hospital with COVID and pneumonia, and meditation was how I spent my days, just really tapping into my inner world and trying to create some strength and peace and acceptance and gratitude, all of those things. So if you are new to meditation, don't think that it's a practice where you have to empty your mind, because that's kind of impossible. But there are many different types of meditation. And if you're a beginner, I would recommend downloading a meditation app. One of my favorites is Insight Timer. I love this app. I even have my own profile on there because I make affirmations meditations. On there, you can find any type of meditation for any type of need that you have. For example, if you're having trouble with anxiety or relaxation, you can just look up those keywords and you'll find some results. And there are all different types. For example, there are guided meditations, which is basically like closing your eyes and being taken on this journey like a story, walking through woodland and nature, etc. And for those types of meditation, I think they're the most accessible for those people who are not used to meditation, because you don't have to think about anything. You just let someone lead you. And it's not about emptying your thoughts. Then there are also affirmations meditations. We're going to talk about affirmations a little bit later. And then there is some kind of very relaxing music where you can just put the music on and just close your eyes and let your mind wander. You can also do some breath work where you're focusing just on your breath. And that would be the least mind active one, which is just kind of taking you down to just thinking about the breath in, the inhale, the exhale. So you're not really thinking about anything in your life. You're just focusing on the action of breathing, the act of breathing, which is also a good thing. But I think it's good to just try different things every day, and also start with just short ones like 5-10 minutes, and then as you kind of get into it, hopefully will become a practice that you cannot live without. It's just such a great thing. For me now, I'm actually just using music and doing my own kind of freestyle, and I'm also using crystals as well to get some energy healing. And I meditate every night with a meteorite, which is on my third eye, and I listen to psychic ability activation music, and I'm kind of like, whoa, and I have the freakiest dreams ever. But that's kind of like, I've been doing it for a few years now, so I can handle that kind of thing. And yes, there's many different types of meditations to discover, and I think once you start dabbling, it's just such a great thing to do. The next thing I'd recommend is affirmations. Affirmations are sentences in positive, they're affirmations, usually with I am, and they are, you can create your own affirmations, or you can listen to affirmations meditation tracks. And the great thing about affirmations meditations is that you don't have to be closing your eyes and listening to them. You can also be engaged in a different activity, such as working, or even washing the dishes, or even sleeping. So these affirmations are kind of getting into your subconscious, really communicating with your inner world, which is a great thing to do. maybe 2 years ago now, I had some very bad news in my life, and I really did hit rock bottom, and my self-belief was on the floor. It was so bad, but I wasn't going to kind of like let this thing that happened to me dominate my life. So I was trying to kind of I would describe affirmations as consensual brainwashing. So I really wanted to get back into a more positive place, but it was hard because I was going through something very challenging. So I listened to 8-hour tracks of affirmations that I found on YouTube. I listened to them all day for many days until I gradually started believing in myself again. And that's something that's really, really helped with me. There's lots of science that supports affirmations. It's not just a woo-woo practice, but it's a really good thing to do, to write them out, to also listen to them, to even record your own affirmations. But if you look up for affirmations online, or even in a meditation app, or even on YouTube, you'll find many, many different types of affirmations. And also, the self-help world is based on 3 things. It's health, wealth, and happiness. So all the things we want come into those categories. So if it's health, obviously, health, anything related to health can be mental, physical health. Wealth is money, abundance, work, etc. And happiness would be things like love, family, friendship, etc. So you can always find a meditation or affirmations that are related to any topic that you want. But I also think it's great to, well, that's my next point, keep a gratitude journal. Keeping a gratitude journal is something that I did in 2019. So every day I used to write down, it's good to do this before bed or in the first thing in the morning. I wrote down 3 things that I was grateful for, because when you do gratitude journal, you focus on what you have and not what you don't have. Because when you lose something basic, like for me, when I had facial paralysis and I couldn't smile, I was thinking, wow, I've really taken this for granted, my smile, which is such a big part of who I am. And because people who know me, they kind of associate me with a smile, which is great. But yeah, to lose that, or to lose something really, I had an operation on my leg maybe 10 years ago, or maybe more than that, actually, 15 years ago. I could barely walk for ages, and I couldn't even shower. So when you get these basic things taken away from you, that's when you really notice their absence and how important they are. So it's really important to be grateful for everything you have, and everyone can come up with 3 things that you're grateful for every day, no matter how bad things are. Even just like having your eyesight, or having the food in your fridge or on your table, having the friendships that you have. There's so many things to be grateful for, and you can also make things specific to that particular day as well. I did this in 2019 for the whole year, and also now at this time of year you can buy a cheap diary so you can kind of write them every day. And I think this really helped me for my mindset in 2020 when the pandemic hit, because for me it was very hard being, in Spain alone, living in a 20 square meter apartment. I kind of got back with a guy that I had been trying to leave, so it was kind of like, oh, it's him or no one, even though he was a great guy. So I felt this kind of really, reduced life. It was very, very hard, but I think gratitude got me through it. Just having that practice of being grateful, for my health and just the everyday things that I enjoy in life. So yeah, gratitude journal is amazing. Also, gratitude is great for manifestation. So it gets you into this positive mindset. And when you are grateful and positive, then more blessings will come your way. And if you don't believe me, I highly encourage you to try it. The next thing I would advise is to socialize with people who uplift you and who accept you for who you are. This is so important for me. I mean, right now I've spent so many days with other people. I've had people visiting me. I've had lots of dinners, and now my social batteries are kind of low, and I'm probably going to spend New Year tonight alone, and I'm okay with that. Because I've just been giving a lot of myself to other people. However, the people that I'm giving myself to, they give it back as well. It's kind of a regenerative process, which is really, really important. And they accept me for who I am, and vice versa. But it's really important to be around people who boost you. And for me, a lot of my strength and growth this year in 2023 has been thanks to the people around me reflecting back at me how they see me. And that kind of it sounds kind of like validation, external validation, which in part it is, but for me it means so much. For example, in my life, I've started to notice that many friends around me have met each other thanks to the events that I have organized. That makes me feel really good. And also even followers on YouTube who've left me some beautiful comments, or they've written to me to tell me how much my content has impacted them, which is really, for me, is just such a fantastic, encouraging piece of information that I'm very grateful for. So yeah, people who uplift you is really, really important. So I think sometimes it can be hard when one of your good friends or someone around you has this real negative attitude all the time, or they're complaining about things, and it's important not to kind of get sucked in by that, or not to kind of let that affect you too much, or to start doing the same thing. It's really, really important. The words we use are really important. And there is a book by Florence Scovel Shinn called Your Word is Your Wand. You have to be very careful about the language you are using, and listen to other people's language. Is it always complaining, always thinking small? I think being around people who think big and positive is quite a good thing, but you have to be kind of wary about the over positive as well, because I know a few people like that in my life who are just kind of yes people, and there's no substance. So you have to be very wary about that, and also to have a balance of being around people and also being alone. Yeah, so that's important. Also, I've noticed recently, values, I'm really concerned, or not concerned, but a bit more perceptive about other people's values. People I thought had the similar values to me, I'm like, oh, you don't? Oh my God, maybe I should limit my time with you. So just being a bit mindful about who you're spending your time with and how they are affecting you, that's very important. And if you find that you're not really surrounded by people who are uplifting you and being your cheerleaders, it might be time to, start some hobbies, become a member of a different social clubs, etc., and just be a bit more socially active, so that you will become magnetic to those people who will uplift you. And also it's good for you to be an uplifting person as well, because that will hopefully attract that into your life. And another thing, this is a personal thing. I know a lot of people won't agree with the next point I'm going to share, but for me it's been really, really good thing, staying sober. I think clarity of mind is something that has really helped me. I know in the past when I've been, let's say, upset for whatever reason, and I thought drinking alcohol, getting drunk was a good idea for that, it actually makes everything worse, especially having, to deal with something at a particular moment, and then the day after with the hangover, etc., and just thinking, oh my God, how much money did I spend on something that's making me feel terrible? What did I say? What did I do? Oh my God. I think it's okay to drink a little bit if that makes you happy, or if you just enjoy wine. I actually walked past a wine shop the other day, and it had their slogan was, "We don't drink to forget, we taste to remember." And I thought that was kind of good if you are into wine culture. I'm not at all, but I understand that some people are, and they do find it some kind of way of appreciating food more, and that's okay. But I think be wary about when alcohol is abused or any other substance. I think clarity is just such a wonderful thing, and it's so wonderful to have a life that feels so good that you don't need to escape from it by drinking or taking any substances. I know that when I go to this after-work event at my private members club on Fridays, and people are just like, oh, give me a drink, because they really want to forget about the week, whereas I don't have that need, because I like what I do. I love what I do so much. I have no need or desire to escape from it in my mind. It's a wonderful feeling. And even if you, I think, if you're going to do dry January, that's a good way to dabble with sobriety. It's such a great thing. And then when you become sober, if you decide to do that, it's interesting to see who in your circle supports that. And you'll find that it's interesting, because people say, a friend in need is a friend indeed. But when you're really doing something good for yourself, that's when you really see who is your friend, who is your supporter. And that's something that I've seen, because if you just start looking after yourself, people feel as though you are looking down upon them, or you're being patronizing, or they just feel uncomfortable around you because they have to look at their own habits, and they're probably not, might not have a growth mindset. So that's something to bear in mind as well. I know that I've found that, and someone said to me once, it's a pity you don't drink anymore. And I was thinking, wow, with all the incredible benefits that sobriety's brought to my life, how can you say that? They just miss the old drinking pal me, which is long gone. Yeah, so for me, sobriety is a big part of my clarity, my groundedness, and my happiness. It might not be your journey, but I strongly recommend it, because I think it's amazing. The next thing I would recommend is, if you're going through tough times, is to do some kind of therapy with a professional. You have to be very, very wary of that as well, and choose the right type of therapy. There are many different types of therapies, and if something worked for your friend, it might not work for you. And it's really important to, now looking back, I've made therapy mistakes, is to be a bit more, to do a bit more research about the types of therapy available, and if they are, and how they work. For example, I know here in Spain, someone, American friend, said to me that it was like therapy in the 90s in the US, like just talk therapy, as a lot of that. And if you want to do something that kind of is a bit different, then you have to pay a lot more for it. And I found that all the therapies that I've done have been very Freudian, and it's just been about focusing on the past every week, to the point where it was a real relief to get some certain things off my chest in the first couple of sessions, but then it became a repetition, and it became almost addictive to kind of go to a place to talk about myself to a stranger who's impartial, allegedly. So, and I found that it was maybe good for my ego in the end, but I thought it's not so good for my bank account. It's good for the therapist bank account. But now looking back, I would have done things very differently. For example, if I'd started therapy again, I would say, what's the plan of action, and how long is this going to take? It can't be a never-ending thing. It comes to a point where you just have to get on with life. That's my particular perspective. I know that might be different, depends on different circumstances, etc. But I prefer a type of therapy that's more solution-based rather than cause-based, just focusing on the cause all the time, because that's in the past, whereas you want to be moving on with life, in my opinion. It all depends on what you're going to therapy for, but in general, I think it's a good idea to do your research, think about what kind of therapy suits you, have a plan of action, and if it's not working, be okay with ending it and finding another therapist as well. So I think doing therapy is a great thing to do at some point of your life for a certain period of time. And then another thing I like doing, things like some kind of energy healing. You have to believe in that kind of thing, of course. But some things like breath work, Reiki, different events. I remember once in 2019, I declared a whole month of December the month of self-love. I did so many nice things for myself throughout that month. I went on my first yoga retreat. I did Reiki a couple of times. I did acupressure. I did Ho'oponopono, breath work. And it was just so nice to experiment with different healing modalities and do something for myself. Because you find sometimes if you just go to these things, you're dedicating a time to yourself, to your healing, and just to kind of acknowledge certain things that have happened to you, or certain things that you feel, and it can be quite uplifting, also quite bonding if you go with other people as well, or even go on your own. But it's something that I like to do as well. And breathwork is very powerful. There are many different healing modalities, but I think it's good to experiment with some things, but also be wary about these things as well. Because a lot of sharks in the world of self-help, definitely. Yes, so that's another thing to bear in mind. And don't think that one person or one thing has all the answers, because you have to be very, very wary of that, because the answers are within. Lately, just a little sidetrack here, I've been watching a lot of content about cults and different kind of self-help groups that have become quite dark. And that's... I think we all have this need of belonging and being understood. And I think when you're in a vulnerable position, you are very vulnerable and susceptible to certain things. You have to have your wits about you if you are going to turn to groups or people to make you feel better, and not hand all your power away. That's very, very, very important. Next thing I would recommend is to be patient. Healing, and it's not something that happens in one day. It takes time, and you must be very patient with yourself. And how do you record your progress? I think it's good to maybe journal and just take note of how you're feeling at certain times. And keep that gratitude journal alive, and just get to a point where you're around these positive people doing all of the above, and it will get to a point where it will become a habit for you and it'll just become part of your lifestyle. And life will always be challenging, but it's how you feel inside that counts. I know that's a massive cliche, but I'll give you a little example. When I had my facial paralysis, I remember I was absolutely distraught. When I went to hospital, my heart was racing. I had to be put on a heart monitor because it was crazy. I was so upset, so in so much panic. And the day I got the all clear from the neurologist, which was about 3 weeks later, the same day I was thinking, I can make YouTube content again, because I'd missed making videos. I didn't want to make videos with my paralyzed face, even though I could have done, but I just didn't feel, I wanted to kind of like introspect instead. That same day I had an accident. I actually walked into a glass door. I didn't see that it was a door. And at the time it was, the height of the pandemic, and I was wearing this summer hat, I was wearing sunglasses and a mask, and it really reduced my vision. And I walked bang into this door, and the sunglasses went whoosh, and I had a cut here. I've got a little scar here. And then it just started bleeding straight away, and then they called the ambulance. And when the ambulance came, the paramedics, they looked at me and said, "Oh, we need to take you in and give you some stitches." And it's my first time in an ambulance, actually. And then I was asking them, "Hey, will you give me an anaesthetic?" They said, "No, we'll do it with no anaesthetic, and we'll do it with a stapler." I was like, ha ha ha. I was really laughing. It was a kind of, even though it was a terrible thing, I was actually inside me. I wasn't dying of like depression. It's such a different experience from going to the emergency room the first time with when I was paralyzed. Yeah, so I think that might be a bit of a weird example, but I think it's really good to know that just to develop these tools so that anytime life becomes challenging, you can deal with it. And then the last point is know that you are worthy of love, success, and happiness. This is very, 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 very important. I think it's working on your self-esteem is something, or self-concept, which has been a massive challenge for me in 2023. It's very, very, very important. And it's not something that happens overnight, but I would highly recommend something that I've been doing is that I have an iPhone, but I'm sure it exists in other phones, but there is an app called Reminders, and I set up some reminders every day throughout the week, Monday to Friday. I have reminders coming at, let's say, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. all day with these powerful affirmations. So they kind of go boom on my phone, and I say, oh yeah, I'm worthy of success, I'm worthy of happiness, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of good to get that going. One of the guests on my podcast did that, and she went from food stamps to 6 figures. When I heard that, I was like, okay, I'm doing it. So it's good to kind of get some affirmations coming into your world at different times of the day. And also when it comes, you can kind of repeat it to yourself or have a little smile and go, yes. And it's kind of like really having that constant communication with your subconscious. So yeah, it does take time, but everyone is worthy of love, success, and happiness. And I hope you find this useful if you are struggling or if you're having a hard time. And Happy New Year. So I wish you all the best, and thank you for watching if you got this far. And let me know if you are interested in this type of content, because this is something that I am very good at on a personal level, but I haven't really made it into content, but I'm very happy to if you want me to. Okay, thanks for watching. Happy New Year, and I'll see you very soon for some more videos. Mwah.